Conference. What a pleasure it is to be here today, surrounded by so many like-minded people, concerned about the state of our nation, with a refreshing paucity of rainbow lanyards in evidence. Since our last gathering in Doncaster, we have won 4.1 million votes at a general election, secured 5 MPs under first past the post, and now we have over 75,000 members. It is always better to travel than to arrive, but I would call this progress. On a personal note, I'd really like to thank all of you for making the effort to come today. I know how much of a sacrifice it is in both time terms and money terms, but you have no idea how much confidence it gives us on the front line to see the People's Army on the march. It is said that a picture says 1,000 words, so here it is. A fat, bloated state freeloading off a thin, emaciated taxpayer. Next time you encounter some Orwellian virtue-signaling doublespeak from local or national government, remember this picture and reflect on the fact that you elect them and your taxes pay for them. Who should be the servant and who should be the master? The failures of statism are well documented after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Collectivism undermines individual responsibility and fosters a culture of rule by committee. A committee adopts the intellect of the member with the lowest IQ, encourages manipulation, and makes bad decisions. Recent examples in the UK include the post office scandal, the infected blood scandal, the COVID response in its entirety, including forcing an experimental jab on millions of people. HS2, test and trace, EU membership, and almost anything that the government touches. They foster a dependency culture and lose sight of the fact that governing means serving the electorate who empower them. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said, "Human beings are born with different capabilities. If they are free, they are not equal. And if they are equal, they are not free." Being free is the key to human success and sustainable relationships. Freedom of speech in Parliament and the country is central to our unwritten constitution through the Glorious Revolution and the Declaration of Rights in 1688. It is the foundation of the relationship between the people, the electorate, the elected assembly, Parliament, and the monarchy. Parliament is the elected assembly wielding sovereign power, with the monarch as the titular head and the Lords providing continuity and guidance. This formula served us well until 1997, when Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, Peter Mandelson, and Alistair Campbell conspired to undermine our written constitution through malignant legislation, empowering unaccountable, unelected quangos, regulators, and the EU at the expense of parliamentary power. The Equality Act of 2010, for which there was no need, has given legal force and backing to minorities to impose their will and views on the majority. This has fostered the rise of the rule of lawyers, not the rule of law, created unnecessary division in the country, and suppressed free speech across society. Terms like hate speech, transphobia, and Islamophobia have effectively obstructed any dissent. Doubt and victimhood have been encouraged, resulting in young people submitting to, rather than dealing with their problems, citing mental health issues. Parents have been marginalized, and the Cass review is sadly too little, too late. The Financial Services and Markets Act of 2000 gave regulatory power to the Financial Conduct Authority and the Prudential Regulation Authority, who have severely damaged our capital markets, embedding Stonewall philosophy into regulation. It is ironic that after the recent Labour landslip election victory, Rachel Reeves will not be able to manage the British economy without another quango, the Office for Budget Responsibility, signing off on her proposed business plan. Their track record of forecasting has been lamentable, and they will no doubt be blamed for the inevitable failure of a statist Labour approach to economics. In 1997, Britain was in good shape, largely due to the Thatcher legacy. We knew who we were. We knew who we were. We were still one country. We had sidestepped the euro thanks to Sir James Goldsmith's referendum party. Our public finances were in excellent shape. Taxes were one of the lowest in Europe. And public spending accounted for only 32% of economic output. Most importantly, the population was stable and immigration was under control. Today, national debt has exploded 500% to £2,770 billion. Public sector spending accounts for 46% of economic output. The private sector is being crowded out by the state. Mass legal and illegal immigration is out of control. And over 9 million people of working age do not work. Markets will soon exact their price for the folly of the last quarter of a century as a result of the failure of the two-party duopoly, Labour and the Tories. Both of them are jointly responsible with the civil service for undermining our constitution, deceiving the electorate, and feathering their own dishonest nests. Reform is now the last hope for a return to some form of normality. The majority will prevail over minorities, and 17.4 million people who voted for Brexit must be rewarded with delivery of the independent nation state for which they presciently opted, against all the odds. Damaging legislation must be repealed, the size of the state drastically reduced, and total power must be returned to Parliament, who are accountable only to the electorate. We have been living through a period of madness akin to the South Sea Bubble, the Mississippi Scheme, and tulip mania, when men think in herds, go mad in herds, and only recover their senses slowly, one by one. Reform has now established the beachhead in Parliament, which Nigel identified as our primary aim. We need to restructure into a proper political party, fight and win local elections at both county and borough level, and carefully select our team of candidates to win the next general election. First past the post has its issues, but our 5 MPs have proved that we can win in that system. And when the dam bursts, it will do so spectacularly. We have a plan to help support our candidates and guide them through the experience we have gained over various electoral forays. They say experience costs money, and I have certainly found that to be true. Our country, our history, our freedoms, and our independent sovereignty are impossible to value. It is now a case of not just can we win, we must win. Then, and only then, can we deliver the changes that this country so desperately needs. Let's end two-tier policing. Ensuring that the law is applied fairly and equally to all. Let's back small businesses. Raise the VAT threshold. Scrap IR35. And slash corporation tax. We must reward risk-taking entrepreneurs who build businesses, employ people, create wealth, and above all, pay taxes. Maggie used to say, "I am with the workers, not the shirkers." Well, let me tell you, I am with the workers too. Let's scrap every diversity-related role in a vastly reduced public sector and judge people on merit. Singapore propagated a small, highly paid, effective state based on merit alone. and now enjoy GDP per capita twice as high as that of the UK. Let's repeal the Human Rights Act of 1997. And leave the ECHR. Thereby stopping the influence of foreign judges on British law. Let's investigate and repeal divisive legislation such as the Equality Act 2010 and legislation that has bloated the state with quangos such as FUSMA 2000. Let's stop the boats, ending the madness of thousands of unchecked, ending the madness of allowing thousands of unchecked foreign young men into the country illegally. Let's responsibly defund the monopolistic, malign BBC. Making it a subscription service and let the people decide its fate. Let's scrap 20-mile-an-hour limits. Low traffic neighborhoods. End the war on motorists and allow free enterprise to flourish. Let's reverse devolution and restore our Act of Union. Scotland is now a dysfunctional example of failed devolution, funded by the English taxpayer through the Barnett formula, with Wales close behind. Less government must be better for all citizens. And finally, let's slash legal immigration. To put it simply, we are full. Only the best and the brightest who will contribute to our economy and, importantly, integrate into our society should be allowed in small numbers. Uncontrolled mass immigration is the root cause of so many of our issues, yet the political establishment refuses to acknowledge it. Either they're incompetent or they're lying. Fearing the failure of their misguided policy of a utopian multicultural society. As Margaret Thatcher said, after 9/11, the events of September the 11th are a terrible reminder that freedom demands eternal vigilance. And for too long, we have not been vigilant. We have harbored those who hate us, tolerated those who threatened us, and indulged those who weakened us. Did anybody listen? When I asked Keir Starmer at PMQs, did he agree that allowing millions of immigrants into the country since 1997 had damaged our communities and undermined our public services, his lame response was that he was unsure of my numbers. What was he questioning? Whether millions of people had entered the country since 1997? That is an undeniable fact, and it is of great concern that he does not seem to understand the electorate's legitimate and growing concerns. Sadly, His instincts as a human rights lawyer, from which he has earned his living, is embedded in his DNA. The current formula simply isn't working, and change is now essential. Challenging the over-complex legal system is hard for a law-abiding nation. But the silent majority now needs the courage to call out the dysfunctional state of Britain before it's too late. As Tacitus said, the more corrupt the state, the more numerous the laws. Our collective objective has to be a reform government between now and 2029, which represents the interests of the British people. As Winston Churchill said, the farther back you can look, the farther forward you are likely to see. In looking back, I came across the view of Socrates on democracy and its vulnerability. He said, democracy must fall because it will try to tailor to everyone. The poor will want the wealth of the rich, and democracy will give it to them. Young people will want to be respected as elderly, and democracy will give it to them. Women will want to be like men, and democracy will give it to them. Foreigners will want the rights of the natives, and democracy will give it to them. Thieves and fraudsters will want important government functions, and democracy will give it to them. And at that time, when thieves and fraudsters finally democratically take authority, because criminals and evildoers want power, there will be worse dictatorship than in the time of any monarchy or oligarchy. Now is the time for the people of Britain to have the courage to speak out before they lose their freedom of speech, and their special way of life to whatever subversive forces are seeking to undermine us, be it the European Union, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the billionaires, the World Health Organization, the Bilderbergers, the Council on Foreign Relations, crony capitalism, Tony Blair's socialist dream, or other malign forces. Reform represents the people, fairness, common sense, and an accountable government in Westminster for the British people. That cannot happen without seismic change. Please remember that the only thing for the triumph of evil is good for good men to do nothing. We must now collectively, but legally, bring the fight to them. Thank you. Thank you.